Okay, we're going to give a second here for some people to show up. Since we're starting right on the dot here for 5 o'clock, and we'll see here start officially here in about 2 minutes. If you're watching this on the replay, that way we can give people a chance to pop in, and then we'll get started here as we move forward. Super excited to share some goodies here with y'all. All about selling affiliate things without feeling salesy. The goal here is not slime. We're not looking for the slime. We're trying to keep things feeling authentic and heartfelt and just really serving people well. So I'm really excited about talking about this stuff with you guys. So again, we'll give it another minute or so, and then we'll get started. Cool. Hi, Basma. Good to see you. Thanks for coming. We're giving it a couple minutes here just to let some people kind of show up. Feel free to say hi in the chat if you'd like to. And we're going to get started here in a second. All right, cool. So we're going to go ahead and get started here and get things going. So those of you that are watching on the replay aren't waiting around forever and ever. Amen. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for Grabie allowing me to do this workshop with you guys. This is going to be a lot of really great information, and I think it's going to be a blast to get to go over this stuff together. If you end up, and I'll end up saying this multiple times, if you end up joining us live and are able, then please, any questions you have, you can go to the Q&A box and ask your question there. I will be taking some time for Q&A, should there be questions that you all have, because the goal here is to have you feeling really good about the information that you're getting throughout this workshop. So I'm going to share my screen here, and we will get this party started. All right. So give me a thumbs up if you can see this. Give me a thumbs up in the chat, just so that I know that it's happening. And then we got things cooking here. And I will be watching the chat the best I can, but I won't see everything. So again, put your questions in the Q&A box. All right, cool. I'm assuming everything's cooking here. I'll watch for a thumbs up. If we're not seeing anything, then let me know. So this is art affiliate sales without being salesy. We have the cute little slime thing going on here. This is my biggest thing when it comes to just artists in general. How can we sell things without feeling like we're selling something? Because I know that the last thing that you want is to come across as pushy or as, any of those like Better Call Saul type characters. But at the same time, as an artist, it's really important for you to make money, right? Like, you need to be able to survive doing what you love to do. And I'm a big proponent of money is simply a form of service, meaning like if I pay you for something, I'm saying thank you, right? It's like a token of my appreciation. And so I would love for us to start this workshop just with that mindset, that everything we're doing here is saying if someone actually pays me for what I'm offering, then they are telling me that they appreciate what I've done, right? If I pay the plumber, I appreciate what he did. If I pay the doctor, most of the time I appreciate what he did. Maybe I feel like it was a little too much, right? But those are the lines that we're walking here. And we want to make sure that we're not crossing those boundaries of something not being valuable enough that when they pay for it, that they feel like they got hornswoggled or something. So I might end up using some Arkansan metaphors because I do come from the South, so forgive me. So about me, my name is Lennon, and the last name is Bone, Bone. My adolescence, as you can imagine, was absolutely brutal. I grew up in a small town called West Plains, Missouri, population of about 10,000 people. The one celebrity that we had was Dick Van Dyke. If you don't know who that is, then, you know, you might, I'm aging myself that I know even kind of who that is. I ended up being in a band called Ha Ha Tonka, and I joined that band in my college age bracket, like 22, 23 years old. And what we did is we ended up being on a record label, touring all over the world. I think we toured 14, 15 countries, something like that. Had a couple of Billboard top 200 records. We were able to be on TV, just some really cool stuff. But there came a point where I essentially became a social alcoholic. I didn't really like who I was becoming. I felt like, just wanting to do more of my own thing was kind of in my blood. And also I had just had a kiddo, and, that quintessential thing happens where when you become a dad, you're just like, well, what am I really trying to do here? I need to be, aware of this. And so I decided to leave after 10 years. And when I left, I started making YouTube videos for musicians specifically to help them with the business side of, being a musician. And when I did that, I took a course from a guy named Tim Schmoyer, and Tim helped YouTube write the curriculum on how they teach their own platform. So I loved the course, was really into it because I really wanted to learn from the best of the best in this thing. And so I dug into it, and then I had some friends that were visual artists be like, oh my gosh, like this isn't just for musicians. Like when I listen to what you're saying, it absolutely applies to me. And so I started opening it up, and I had some help because my wife is also a visual or an artist, but she's a visual artist. And so she's like, yeah, absolutely. I think this is great. And so I kind of tested some things on her, and we used some of the stuff that I'll share with you today to build her brand to over 20,000 followers. She ended up getting hired by Netflix Family to do some contract work. She also was written up in Board Panda and Huffington Post and a bunch of other stuff. And within that time, I also got hired by Tim, the guy that I took the course from. And I ended up spending 3 years working with him on his team as a strategist, helping people to learn how to grow their YouTube channels. And so we had clients everywhere from 0 to multiple millions. And I saw, some of my clients really, really grow not only their audience, but their revenue. And so I learned this art and social strategy and then business. And then I was kind of digging into the unknown of all those things. And I thought, well, what's the thing in all this? It's like creativity. And the creatives are my people. Like you as an artist, like you're my people. I kind of got tired of like, how do I do this for people that are selling spreadsheets? It's like, I want to go back to the people that I love the most and help them take all of these things that I've learned from years of being on the road and doing all these things, and now years of doing strategy on socials, and combine those into something specifically for artists. And so that's how I developed Stop the Starving Artist. And we are only in the beginning of our second year. And so far, we have helped our clients get millions of views, make multiple 6 figures in revenue, and have hundreds of thousands of new fans within our community of only about between 50 and 60 clients. And I'm really, really proud of that because, as as an artist, like this is a slow paced thing to build any sort of business. And so to know that we're seeing this kind of traction only says that it's working. But what says that it's really working is that I get to see these artists gain more confidence to build more consistent processes and have more joy in their work. And so I just want to say that so that you understand that's the goal here, is that you have more confidence, that this is a consistent process you can come back to again and again, and that you understand this process so you can have more joy in the work and not feel like you're obligated to do something, but you're approaching it from your standpoint, from your voice, from, who you are as an individual, because you are an artist and that individual voice is incredibly important. So let's jump into it here. What is affiliate marketing? Okay. Affiliate marketing is a way for people to earn money by promoting other people's products or services. They do this by sharing a unique referral link. And when someone clicks on that link and makes a purchase, the affiliate, which would be you, would earn a commission. So you probably understand this already, but I think it's important to just say it out loud just in case you don't, right? So what this means is, you're here for the Grabie workshop. So Grabie is presenting you with all these products that are incredible that they've made. And so as an affiliate, you get a link for a certain product that you want to sell, and you get to use the link and then get paid for selling their product. This allows you to not have to go out and make your own products, and, just make a little extra money as it goes. The power of affiliate marketing is that this has passive income potential. So I have a few affiliate links that I use with different like course platforms and things of that nature for more of the business and social side. And what I love about it is when somebody signs up or they do this thing, I don't have to do anything. The money just shows up, right? And so I'm not a big proponent of the idea of like quote unquote passive income, but what I do know is that when you do this enough, it snowballs into being kind of substantial, right? Which, it's flexible, it's scalable, meaning you don't have to do more work necessarily to make more money. So let's say you post a YouTube video of you showing some of these products that you want to sell. The beautiful part is that lives as long as it lives and can continue to get you views and can continue to get you sales as you go. You don't have to do any more work, which allows you to be more flexible and allows it to grow without you having to have, multiple yous flying around. And that's a really beautiful thing about affiliate marketing. And I want to put this into perspective because a lot of times I think artists don't consider, they're like, well, if I sell this paintbrush, I'm only making like a couple bucks. Well, let's just say if you start to get the ball rolling and you make only $10 a day, because it's showing up, the videos continue to exist, they continue to get views, they continue to get you sales. Over 365 days, you're going to make an extra $3,650 a year. Some simple math for a small number that I think for many of you would make a big difference, right? If I had an extra, $3,600 coming in a year, just doing what I'm already doing, that sounds pretty great to me. Is it, quit my job kind of money? No, but we're not talking right now about quitting your job. We're talking about how can we use this now and make it approachable as we move forward, okay? So the agenda for today, the goal of this workshop is to teach you about affiliate marketing, how to grow your audience using it, and how to earn more money as your audience grows. So by the end of this workshop, I really want you to have not only the knowledge of how to do this, but the tools to start selling something to your audience right away. So at the end of this workshop, if you follow these instructions, you're taking these notes, you will literally be able to go and make a sales video on a product and potentially earn some revenue from it. You've already gotten signed up for the affiliate program here at Grabie. So that's a beautiful way for you to just jump in and get started. Okay. So we're going to start by asking, what is the product that you want to sell? What's the product that you want to sell? And I want you to put it in the chat. If you have something in mind, whether it's, and I'll give you some examples on what I think about. Think about the things that you use every single day in some way, shape, or form. What do you use that you're just like, oh, I couldn't do without this? Maybe it's a certain style of paintbrush. Maybe it's a certain style of paints. Maybe it's pencils or pens or paper or, whatever it is. I just want you to have that in mind as we start. And if you're watching with us live, put it in the chat so I can call it out. Okay. Because I want to be able to see what it is so I can help you be guided through this whole process as we move forward. So think about that product. You've got that in your mind. And I want to know, how often do you feel weird when selling something and why? How many of you feel weird when you're selling something and why? Okay. I'm going to take a stab here and say the main reason that a lot of you feel weird when you're selling something is because you're worried that you're going to be seen as being pushy. You're worried that somebody's going to look down on you because you're asking something of them. That seems like a nuisance. You're worried of like how people might interpret you, that they might see you as a money grabber or somebody who, is trying to take advantage of them, right? And I just want to follow that up with, when was the last time that someone felt pushy when they were selling to you? So I'll go ahead and give you my story here. I remember when my wife and I, and this is a number of years ago now, but I remember when my wife and I were looking for the car that we bought, the last car that we bought. And I remember going into the dealership, and this guy came up to me, and he just immediately started, asking me all the questions about what he can show me. Let's go take a look over here, blah, blah, blah. Like, what's your budget? Like all those kinds of questions that were very, you just knew where he was headed, right? He didn't have me in mind at all. It was just like, okay, I know you're here to buy a car, so I'm going to just make sure that you walk out with a car. It's like, no, dude, you don't understand me. Like, I want to feel like you understand who I am, so you know which car is right for me. I want to feel like you're actually helping me do this. And honestly, it doesn't matter what the product is. If it's a car or it's a paintbrush, like it all works the same way. Okay. Service is greater than selling. So if you show up to me and instead say, hey, what's your name? What's your job? How's a car serve you? What does it do for you? How can it, like, are you looking for, something that allows you to save money on gas? Are you looking for something that allows you to haul something around? Like what's your need here? Right? Oh, okay, cool. Well, I want you to know that we have these options. And I also want you to know that, we can make it really simple, and I can knock this money off for this thing. But more than anything, I'm not here to like force you. I just want you to know, like, these are your options. And when you're ready, we can make that happen. And I'm going to tell you, that's the guy that I went with. We went to 2 other dealerships, and it was the guy that let me drive multiple cars, that just kind of hung back and let me take my time, and ended up giving me and asking me all the right questions, giving me all the right details. That's the guy I went with, because it felt like he was there to serve me, not to sell me on anything. So let's take a look at this and break it down. The key points of sales that are slimy AF is that they're pushy or aggressive. They lack sincerity. They're talking about the features over the benefits. We'll get into that, like the features over the benefits. There's usually exaggerations of some kind, pressure tactics, and a lack of relevance, meaning like they don't really empathize with me. They don't understand who I am. And the key points of service is all about personalization, attention, communication, competence, meaning you actually understand what they need, and empathy, meaning not only do you understand it, but you feel for them. Like you get it, right? So that's what we're going to look at as we walk through this process of being able to get to the point of selling without feeling slimy AF, right? Think of this a little bit like a video game map. We're going to be collecting some things along the way. So just like what I described, the service elements as, we have them here in the key. We have empathy, personalization, attention, competency, and communication. So the first thing on this map is that we're going to understand our audience. We're going to understand who we're talking to. And when we do that, we're actually empathizing with them. We understand them more, so that there's a feeling attached to it. And that goes a long, long way. And then we're going to know our value. And when we do that, we're developing competency. We're developing an understanding, a deeper understanding of why they would want this thing. Then we're going to know our story. And when we do that, we start to personalize it and make it feel more about them. And because it is, right? Like, that's what I want to say. If you're selling something, you're serving somebody. And when you serve somebody, it should be about them. So this isn't about like, we're going to pull the wool over their eyes and make it about them. Like, we're actually going to make it about them. And that's what makes this so powerful. We're going to understand our opponent. And when we do that, that's the thing that's going to get attention. That's going to get somebody to stop and say, oh, okay, yeah, I see where we're headed here. And now I understand that you understand me. And when we have these elements picked up, then we're going to put it all together and be able to communicate what this thing is that we're selling to the person. Okay. So if you're watching here live, give me a thumbs up if you're following me so far. And again, if you have any questions, add those into the Q&A box so I can get to those. Let me see here if we've gotten any cues in the Q&A box so far. Okay, let's see here. Cool. All right. Lisa's here. Good to have you. Awesome. Thanks for showing up. All right, so let's get into this. Let's start going through this map. So far we have the thing we want to sell. So we've thought of the thing we want to sell. I want you to think of this as the solution. You know that this is their solution. So now we have to reverse engineer that, right? So we're going to start with understanding you already know what you want to sell. That is your solution. So let's start to reverse engineer that. The first thing, as we said, is understanding or knowing our audience. Okay. So who is your ideal person in this scenario? Okay. One of the biggest reasons we don't buy something is because we don't feel seen or heard. We feel seen or heard when someone understands us, when they understand our circumstances and our wants and our needs. Now, you may say, well, Lennon, this feels a little overboard for selling a flipping paintbrush or a pen. Is it really? Right? If we really want to serve somebody well, and we really want to do it in a way that allows us to be able to have financial reward from it, because again, money is a token of appreciation. Like, I don't think this is even close to too much. Like, I think we're getting into something really special here. And I'm going to double down on this idea of understanding your person in a deep way, because if you want to grow your audience as an artist and continue to scale this up, this is step one. You have to understand who you're talking to, right? So what do they want? What do they want from their life? In this case, what do they want from art, right? What are they trying to achieve? And why can't they have it? What's in the way for them? Now, a lot of times I'll hear people say, well, they want to be happy, or they want to make, like, what do they want from art? Well, they want to make art, right? Yeah, but that's not really it, right? They want something deeper than that. Like, if they want to be happy, what does that mean? How would you define happiness for your person? If they want to make art, well, what is art for them? Define that, right? Because when you define that and you say those details, for instance, I have a client who, she has a whole community around for artists who aren't about making money. They're just wanting to make art just because. And that's the thing she says, like, we don't need to make money. Like, she leans into that because she says they just want to be creative, but they're stuck. They feel like they're not able to be that person. They feel like what they make isn't good enough for them to push forward. So what do they want from their art? Well, they want to see themselves grow. They want to see themselves feel fulfilled in the things that they make. And they want to feel like they're really pushing forward in some way, both emotionally as well as the physical thing that they're creating. So we'll kind of use her as a little bit of a, to continue this analogy as we move forward. So why can't they have it? What's in the way for them? Okay. This is a key question. So for her people, it has a lot to do with a lack of self-confidence. It could be that they feel like they don't have the right tools to do it. It could be that they feel like they don't have the right skills. And so she can teach those skills and those tools and those mindsets to do that, right? So she had to understand what that is and get specific about this. Like, what is really in the way? And then what happens if they don't get what they want? It's really important to understand this, because when you understand what gets in the way for them, like, for instance, with my audience, I help artists to grow communities around their art and monetize those communities. But without sacrificing who they are. Because that's what I know that artists want. Like the ones that want to be able to make money from it, even if it's not to be rich and famous, because that's not my people, right? They don't want to be rich and famous. They just want to support what they do. And so I know that if they don't get what they want, they're not going to really feel like professionals. Like money to them and building an audience is as much about being seen as a professional in their own mind, proving something to themselves. And if they don't get that, then they're continually in this place of, well, I guess I'm just not putting enough effort in, or I guess I'm just not good enough, right? So then you ask the question, what will help them get what they want? So what is this thing? So, we'll get into like a deeper version of this, as like product specific version, excuse me, in a moment. But it's important for you to have like a big picture version of this too. Like what's going to help them? In this case, like the tool that you've picked to sell is one of the things that will help them get what they want, right? It could also be mindset. It could also be a bunch of these things. Going back to my client, Susan, and her audience, like one of the things that she knows that will help them get what they want is motivation, like hearing someone and seeing someone just show up every week in and out and doing the thing, even if it sucks, even if it's not good enough. They need to see somebody modeling that so that they feel empowered to do it themselves, right? So that's one of the things. The other thing is community for her. So she brings people in and does these live streams. They do talks and talk through things. She's gonna be teaching technique classes and those kinds of things for the tool side of it. So those are all things that will help them get what they want. And then how will they be transformed? How will they be different? So this is a great question to ask as well, because when you understand that once they've worked with you or they bought this product or they've, been a part of your ecosystem or your world, like they'll be transformed this way. This helps you see not only how what you have is valuable, but how valuable you are as a person. Because you may not think that what you have to offer, whether it's a tool or yourself or the art you make, is that valuable. But when you start to see the transformation that you can give by showing off the art that you make, by sharing the heart behind it, like that's big, because that helps you be more confident, right? That's your transformation. This is my audience's transformation. So what is it for your people? What is it for the people that you're trying to offer this product to? Again, you may say, Lennon, this feels really heavy for the idea, but we're going to break it down very, very simply by the time we get to the end. We got to start thick. Think of it like we're cleaning the room, right? We're cleaning our house, so we have to put all the stuff on the floor first, and we're going to start sifting through it and finding the juiciest parts, okay? So we understand our audience. We have collected that token, and we're moving forward. The next thing is knowing your value, okay? So question, why does something need to be valuable to us before we buy it? Why does something need to be valuable before we buy it? Well, because you have to convince me. There's a lot of things vying for my attention at all times. So you have to tell me like why this is important. And I think it's important for us to ask like, well, what is value, right? And how do we show what that is? So value is often defined as the amount of benefit or utility that a consumer derives from a product or service relative to its cost. So you have this great paintbrush that, or, we were talking today, Colin and I are about like the watercolor set, the to-go water or on the go, like portable watercolor set. So the benefit or utility of that relative to its cost is really high. It's like a sub $30 product that the benefit of it is super valuable because I can put it in my pocket, very utilitarian. The benefit is that I can be painting and doing all these other things on the go, right? Wherever I'm at. If I feel inspired, I can jump and start getting into the work. Okay. But also value can refer to the perceived worth or significance of something. So how significant is this thing? This could be a person, an idea, or a belief, right? And when we pair both the person and the thing together, magic starts to happen. Because in this context, value can be subjective and vary depending on individual perspectives, cultural norms, and personal experiences. So the value of your experience with this thing in your life as an artist is really, really important in this. So sharing that, and we're going to get into how, is really, really cool. So let's look at this from like an elemental standpoint. This is what's called the elements of value. This was from Bain and Company in 2015. And a lot of times we start with functional elements. This is the beginning, the first definition of value, right? Does it save me time? Does it simplify things? Does it make me money? Does it organize or reduce cost or avoid hassles, reduce effort? We want to put everything in sort of that category when we sell it. And I think that's why sometimes things feel sort of slimy, because if we're all functional, we're missing out on so much opportunity to really serve somebody. Because what happens when we bring in the emotional level of things, where we're reducing some sort of anxiety or telling about the rewards? Is there nostalgia or something here that, takes you to a time past? Is there some sort of therapeutic or wellness factor here, or fun or entertainment? Like I was mentioning also that Grabie has this great little like palette that you can, like painter's palette that you can put on your finger or something. And I was like, that's so fun. Like what a kitschy, cool little thing, right? The functional level of that might not be as high, but the emotional level is a little higher. So that's interesting because it makes it attractive, right? So also a badge value, like meaning I identify as something. Think of someone who wears a badge, a police officer, a fireman, a security guard, whatever those kinds of things are. This is allowing you to have something that as you wear it, it represents something to other people, right? Status kind of thing. Then we have life change, provides hope, motivation, affiliation or belonging, feeling a part of a community, or self-actualization, like helping somebody become the best version of themselves. And you may ask again, like, this feels like a lot if I'm trying to sell a paintbrush, but let me tell you, this is where things get really cool. Okay. So what makes this paintbrush valuable? Well, let's go back to this idea of functional elements. Okay. If we think about a paintbrush from a functional standpoint, first of all, if you get the right one and the brushes are good quality, or the bristles are good quality, all those kinds of things, it's going to save you time because you're not going to have a crappy quality painting. It's going to potentially make you money if you're a great artist. It's going to simplify your process, reduce effort, avoid a hassle, reduce cost, because in this case, you're probably getting it at a really great value cost-wise, right? And then we think about the emotional thing underneath that. How will this reduce anxiety? Well, maybe, you're thinking for a specific kind of brush. It's like, I need to get those really fine details inside the flowers that I paint, or inside the birds that I create, or inside the abstract stuff that I do. And the only way I can get these fine details without feeling like, it's all going to go to hell is with this specific brush. Or is there a therapeutic value or some sort of nostalgia here? It's like, maybe there's a story behind painting that connects to you and a grandparent or a parent, right? So at my house, like we paint as family, or we'll do art time as a family. So it's a big part of like who my kid was drawing upstairs as I came down here, right? One of my kiddos. And so there's this attractiveness to it. There's something nostalgic about that for my kids. My dad was the same way. He used to draw cartoons with us, and that was just really fun as well. And you may think, well, how does that sell a product? Because you're creating a story or an element that lets them know, like, I'm like you. And Seth Godin says, people like us do things like this, right? Then what's the motivation aspect? What's the hope that they're looking for? So you might say, like, hey, this paintbrush isn't going to save your life, but like, if you're trying to be a professional, or you're trying to step your game up and really, get back into the practice or get back into the habit of it, this is a great buy, especially for the price. Because even if you don't go out and like do the thing that as much as you want, that you haven't wasted a bunch of money and you've gotten something that is incredible quality. So we've motivated somebody, we've provided a little hope, and also said, like, I know you're trying to be this kind of person with this thing. Right. So hopefully that makes sense. And I want to ask you, how would you then do the same thing with paints, right? What are the elements of value here? And I just want you to think about that for a second while I take a drink of my Zevia, not sponsored. Big fan of the cream soda flavor. So I'm curious, like, those of you that are here, do you have any thoughts on like how you might do this with paints? Put it in the chat. I want to see it. I want to hear like what you guys are thinking about. What are the values of paint for you? Or if it's not paint, like what's the product that you're trying to sell? Put it in the chat, the product that you're trying to sell, and then the value that it has to offer. Again, if you're here and you're attending live and you're watching, please participate. Your participation is going to help solidify this information. And if you're just passively watching, it's not going to do you as much good as it would if you were actively listening and participating. So notes, chat, all those kinds of things are really powerful. Okay. Not to be a stickler, but it's just really good practice. Okay. Okay. So thinking about the values that we've offered here, we now have what we want to sell. We have our the thing that is the solution. We have who it's for and why we know they need it. Okay. So next on the map, we need to know our story. This is the thing that personalizes the whole mamma jamma here, right? And what is a story? Well, a story is a character who wants something and has to overcome something to get it, and then is transformed by the process. A story is not, I went to the store and I bought a carton of milk and I went to the checkout line and I came home and I ate. That's not a story. That's a series of events. A story is a character who wants something, has to overcome something to get it, transformed by the process. I needed to go to the store because I wanted a carton of milk. But when I got to the store, I had misplaced my debit card. And so I wasn't able to pay. And in the process of trying to find my payment system, the gal behind me ended up covering me for the $4 that it cost for the carton of milk. And we ended up striking a big conversation. And I had a restoration in humanity that I wasn't prepared for, right? Very different story, much more engaging, much more emotionally gratifying, right? So why does your story matter? Why does a story in general matter? Because this is one of the tools of communication that we have used as long as humanity has existed, right? This allows the viewer or the listener to see themselves through your circumstance, in turn, trusting you more, okay? So if we think about what we've done so far, you understand your person, right? So we're thinking about them. And then we understand this thing that we have that we want to offer them. So we say, okay, well, I know that they're dealing with X, Y, and Z. They really want to make better paintings. They want them to be beautiful. They want them to impact maybe family members or things like that. And then we start to ask, well, then how have I ever experienced something similar? This is where the story comes in. So then we have to reflect on who they are, what they want, what's in the way. And then we start to ask, well, when has this happened to me? Okay. This is why story matters. And we're going to get into that. But there's an importance here to not pigeonhole yourself, even though you are an artist, not to just pigeonhole yourself as an artist. Okay. When I teach audience development in my programs, I say this a lot. I don't believe that you make art. You may hate me for saying this, and I apologize, but I believe you are the artist. I think the art is a vehicle, meaning that when you create something, you are expelling your emotion, your experiences, your story, your ideals, your vision, the things that you want to change about the world, all that stuff that exists up here in your beautiful brain, like it comes out, whether it's subconscious or not. And so for me to not get to connect with you as a person who has feelings and ideas, right? And I only see your art, I am missing the core of the thing that you create. And so I believe that when you balance sharing your story as a creative and your regular life, trust is built. I use the Beatles as an example often, where when, one of the reasons I think the Beatles continue to be huge generation after generation is not just the music. It is the stories behind it, right? It's that we get to know McCartney as a regular human being more and more through interviews and things like that. And as we get to know him more, we reconnect with the songs in different ways. Think about the creatives that you love the most. When you feel like you know a little bit about them, who they are, what they're all about, what they believe in, what they fight for, those things develop trust. And then when they present something to you, you're way more likely to be excited to buy that thing, right? And that's really, really cool stuff. So, yeah, Liz says here, the brushes that she uses with the special grips, use it to help connect others that have tendonitis. I love this. That's so good, right? So good. Because when you think about like those special grips, yeah, it's a special grip, but for the right person, that's incredibly valuable. And now we're getting into this place of like, why tendonitis? What is it about your story that makes that interesting and makes me want to connect deeper with it so that I can trust you more and so that I now want this thing more as well? Okay, so some questions here to ask. Thinking again about the product and your situation. When have you used this product that you want to sell? And what's a specific circumstance where it helped you and how? Have you given it to anyone else or seen anyone else use it? And how did it help them also? So we want to have this story in place a little bit when we're going to make the offer, when we're going to go make our video on social media and like put it out to the world to share this thing. Don't just like do a thing and that's it, right? Do the thing and share with us like, when did you use this? Or why are you using it right now? Why are we watching you use it? Like, what's the specific circumstance that it's helping you with? Not just like surface level, but I love this tendonitis example, right? Not only are we getting this beautiful, cool image, but I suffer from tendonitis. And so this special grip is amazing for me. Now I've connected with you as a person and I've connected with the thing. And I feel like I trust you more because I see you as a human being. And I see this thing differently. This is the cool part, right? Okay. So far, we have one, the thing we want to sell, which is our solution. We have who it's for and why. And we have the story, our own story that builds trust. Okay. So next, we need to understand the opponent. I love this one. The opponent is the problem that we're solving. So I love this quote from Rory Vaden. He says, if you want to be an authority in your space, you have to be an ambassador of the problem as much as you are the solution. So in Liz's example, tendonitis is kind of the problem, right? That's the opponent. And maybe there's even something deeper than that. So we're going to get into that. I'm going to keep using this tendonitis thing because I think that's a really great example. Okay. So the opponent is the problem that you're solving and the thing that you're fighting against together. When I say together, this is a really important point. Because a lot of you may think, I want to go and create something that everybody loves. It ain't going to happen. Can I just say that and be straight? Like, we're not for everybody as people. It's just not the way we're built, right? It doesn't mean we can't be supportive, but like, just not everybody's going to like us for the things that we make. So when I teach audience development, I'm always asking, like, who are your people? And what are you fighting against? What are you trying to help people with? If you could just change your little corner of the world as an artist, what are you standing for? What do you believe in? Right? Because when you understand those things, you can speak those things aloud. And to the point of this tendonitis, it's like maybe underneath tendonitis is really about pushing past the feeling of pain and frustration to still create something beautiful despite it, right? And so now we've got this idea that's like deeper than the surface level. So what's the thing you're fighting against? And now we can ask ourselves, like, what is the problem that our product solves? So the grippy paintbrush, the problem that it solves is that it's got this nice grip. You won't drop it, right? But if we ask ourselves, what is the real thing it solves? So I'm going to go ahead and skip a slide. What's the real thing it solves? What's the feeling? Well, for those of you that are dealing with something like tendonitis, or you deal with pain, where you have to, like, my wife has ADHD and her meds cause her to deal with shakes, right? So something like that would be really valuable to her. So if you're dealing with these kinds of things and that frustration of like constantly, having to keep everything in place to get the details how you want them, like, we're solving that frustration. It's that feeling, because Seth Godin says people don't buy things, they buy feelings. So there's a great, in his book, This is Marketing, there's a great analogy. He says, if someone goes to the hardware store and they buy a 1/4-inch drill bit, they're not actually buying the drill bit, right? The drill bit's the thing that you put on the drill, right? They're not actually buying that drill bit. They're buying the hole that they're putting in the wall. And they're not even buying the hole. They're buying the shelf that they're creating. And they're not even buying the shelf. They're buying the feeling that when the shelf is on the wall and everything's in its place, their wife comes in or their significant other comes in and gives them a kiss on the cheek and says, thank you. They're buying a sense of pride and accomplishment. They're buying a feeling. Your people, when they buy these art products or these supplies, like, they are striving for the feeling of completing something on the other side of having that thing. It's why you get it, right? You're striving for having inspiration strike and not being succumbed to the tools that exist, right? Or don't exist. So you go buy these tools so you have them at your disposal. So when inspiration strikes, you can just get it on the page, right? Out of like this brain canister and like into the world. So you're really wanting that feeling. And that's what makes this really, really cool. So far we have what we want to sell. We have who it's for and why, the story that builds trust, and the problem that you're solving. Not only the surface level problem, which is we got a nice grip, like things aren't going to slip out of your hands, but we have the deeper problem, the feeling, frustration. That's the thing we're solving here, right? Okay. So we've gone through all these things. So now how do we sell without feeling slimy AF? So final round of the map here. We need to learn to communicate these things. Okay. Again, if you have questions, please put them in the Q&A box, or anything that you feel like you're missing. Let me know. Okay. And if you're getting value out of this and you're watching live, then give me a little thumbs up in the chat, so I know that I can keep going, keep the energy cooking here. All right. So how do we communicate these things? So first, we're going to gather our materials. Okay. We're going to gather the things that we've just looked at. What do you and your viewer want to accomplish with the product? So you have the product. We're going to say it's the Grabie paintbrush. What do you want to accomplish with that product? Well, we want to paint something with it, right? Let's say we're going to use watercolor. Okay. What's the feeling problem that you're trying to solve? So the feeling, remember, is the deeper thing. So that is frustration. So we're trying to solve frustration because of pain or some sort of element of, our hands, like having, maybe due to medication or other things, like just not being as sturdy as they once were. And then what's the surface problem? Well, the surface problem is that it slips out of our hands. That's the surface problem. And you might ask, like, why are we starting with the feeling, like the deeper one, and not the surface problem? You'll see in a second, because we're going to put this into an actual framework that makes it really simple. Okay. And then I want you to ask, what's a story about how this product helped you and what made it valuable? Okay. So I'm going to present this as if I'm my wife, and because I've seen her deal with like some issues with like the shaking, kind of the tremor things that she gets with her hands. Okay. So I'm going to use this story and her story a little bit to create the story about how that helped her, even though it never really happened. Okay. So what's the outcome that you want, and to really feeling problem. So these are fill in the blanks. Okay. But surface problem, therefore offer the story about how the product gives you value. Okay. So maybe it's this. What's the outcome that I want? I want to create a beautiful painting. And the feeling problem is I want to do it without the frustration of, like, despite the tremors that I'm dealing with. But the surface problem is that like these normal paintbrushes slip out of my hands. Therefore, I'm going to tell you this story about this product and why that's helped me. Okay. So here we go. I always want to make a beautiful painting. Like that's my thing, right? I'm really looking to create something that I'm proud of. And really what I want is to not feel frustrated in the process of it, because I deal with tremors in my hands due to medication. And so surface problem. So these brushes, normal brushes, just slip out of my hands. And so I found this great paintbrush on Grabie.com, Grabie.cc. And I started using it because it's got this great grip on it. And not only is it really affordable, but it makes me feel more sturdy, more professional. I can make sure that the lines that I'm trying to create are in the place that they need them to be. And when I look at the outcome that I have, I'm a lot more proud of it, right? And then I show the thing, okay? So now we have a little, and again, like, I want you to hear that I'm just sort of riffing this as I go. I'm not trying to make it perfect. I'm just starting with an outline. And then we can dial that in and say, well, what feels a little hokey? What feels a little weird? And since I'm making this story up, it's not my story. It's going to feel more forced. That's why it's really important for you to come up with your own story. So let me give an example of one that's not to do with an art product, but let's say something that I love is let me think on the spot. So I really love these headphones. Okay. So we're going to get nerdy. I'm going to get in my own world. This is for a specific person. So when I'm listening to headphones, I want things to feel normal. I don't want a lot of bass. I don't want things to feel really like like my freaking kids do right now. And the reason is because I'm a music nerd. I want to feel the music as if it's a flat response. Like if I'm outdoors listening to a symphony, I want it to feel like that, not exaggerated in any way. But a lot of headphones nowadays are very bass heavy. They jack up all the low end. And that's why you have things like Beats headphones and all those things. So I ended up finding these great headphones from Sennheiser. They're only $98. And I started using them. I've now mixed multiple records on these headphones and they sound great everywhere I go, right? So not only is it a flat response, but they're really comfortable because they got the little cushy things around it. And all my favorite bands, all the favorite music that I listen to, it's just perfect. It's just the right thing. And at that price, like that feels really good, right? So that's a much more like natural approach to selling something. Hopefully that doesn't feel slimy at all, right? It's just like, here's this thing that I found. Here's what I'm trying to do. And here's like, this is why we buy things. Because we see somebody and we say, yeah, I am the same as you. And I like that story. And I understand because I've dealt with a very similar thing. And I also like that you are a music nerd. I like that that's your thing. And so I go deeper with that. Okay. And then we have to think about the call to action. So we can't just have this framework without taking this somewhere. So there's 3 frameworks that I use for making the sale. The first is DM me. The second is link in bio. And the third is link in the description. So the difference between those 2 things is like description means or could mean your caption. I come from the world of YouTube, so description is sort of the caption. If you're thinking TikTok or Instagram, you're thinking caption instead of description. So forgive me if that is a little confusing. But I like to make it as simple as possible. And oftentimes I will have it multiple places. Okay. So I might have the link to the thing that I want to offer in the description or in the caption, and also say, DM me if you want the link or go to the description. Why do I do that? 2 reasons. DMs mean that we're going to get actual connection with the person. And as an artist that's trying to build their community, you actually communicating with them firsthand is going to build a lot more trust. So I love DMing. And then of course there's the link in the bio where you can have the link up there. Maybe you have a resource page with the link in it. Okay. Those kinds of things. So hopefully that makes sense. Again, I like to have it in a place where it's always there. So in the description, in the caption, or in the bio. And then I like to double down with, hey, DM me if you want this thing. I'd love to give it to you, because it just feels more personal. It's like, call me, I'll tell you about it, right? Because then they can ask me questions, like all those kinds of things. Okay. So let's talk about the that framework one more time. So we have the outcome with the feeling problem, then the surface problem. Therefore, here's this story about how it helped me. And then we give the call to action, right? So I've told this whole story about the headphones. Hey, if you want to check it out, there's a link for it in the description. It's an affiliate link, or DM me. I'm happy to like send you some information about it, right? So if you go to my TikTok, for instance, you'll see me do this a lot with my own stuff. And I do this, our artists like in my program, they do this as well. Cool. So quickly though, the details inside of your description and your DM matter. You need your specific product link, because this gets you paid and it gives them exactly what they want. I can't reiterate this enough, because when you send somebody a link to Grabie's product line, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to be overwhelmed and frustrated that they don't know how to find the thing that you just showed them. And that is not service. That's not giving someone service. To serve them well, send them exactly where they need to go, right? So that serves them well and it gets you paid. That link is so important, because that's what allows you to collect your 10%, your 20%, like what 5%, like wherever you're getting affiliates from, like that's what allows you to get that percentage, is that link. And I see a lot of artists get really lazy on this, or feel like, oh, having a link is bad. No. Again, if we think about, you're sharing yourself as a human being and as an artist, and we're starting to see the whole picture of you, and you know that I'm showing up to serve and help you, like, I want to support you. Why wouldn't I use your link? The other day, I signed up for something called Kajabi. I'm moving my entire business over there. And I specifically went to a guy that I've followed for a while and used his link so that he got paid for it, because I wanted him to get paid, because I appreciated the information that he gave me. And I haven't bought any of his stuff, but that allowed me to support him in some way, because I already needed this thing, right? So this is really, really crucial to remember. Like, having a link is not bad. Again, money is a token of people's appreciation. Then you have discount codes and percentage off coupons. So if you have those, make sure those are handy, because those are going to give people extra value. So if you have a discount code, share it, right? Heck yeah. I want to save another 10% or 20%. Like, that sounds flipping amazing. You've just shown me this thing that's going to solve multiple problems on an emotional and physical level. And now you're going to give me a discount code, and it's going to help you. And I like you as I'm in. And it's only $30. Frick, dude. Are you kidding me right now? Let's go. I'm signed up. Okay. So if there's any follow-up questions to this, let me know in the comments, but hopefully you can see the power of putting this into some sort of script that's simple, but not only like not only what the script is, but why these things start to compound on one another and actually grow your audience. When you're sharing more for the people that you understand, not just for selling, but let's say, and what I teach in my program to a lot of our clients is like 80-20 rule. 80% of your stuff should be just putting things out there, talking to your audience, and only 20% should be selling, right? And I think that works a lot better. Because then you can get really focused on the selling, and you can make those things work really well. And what I see, so one of my clients, Hannah and Nemo, they recently, for their own art, they started sort of talking about what they were doing. They were making it, and then, they opened their cart and they sold out of everything they had in 2.5 hours, because they don't sell all the time, right? They make they know that when they're selling something, they really believe in it. They're excited about it. And affiliate works the same way, because when you are excited about something and you share that excitement, people will they'll pick up on that, right? So some extra ideas: become an affiliate, like make a list. Like I know you already are here at Grabie, but don't stop there, right? Let Grabie be your, like, okay, here's my product line for art stuff, but what else do you use every day? Not just in art. Because your people, again, if we're sharing our regular life and our art, there might be things that, like a meditation app or other things that like fit well with just what you're fighting against as an artist. You can make a whole list of all these things and then go to their website and look for their affiliate program, see what they have available. You can pitch all kinds of stuff. This is a really, really cool way to make some extra income. Places to post your affiliate links aren't just socials, but your website. So you could have a resource list. If you sell courses of some kind, like have a specific resource list for your course. Like I recommend all these things, and let that be your affiliate links, right? That's what I do inside my program. So this is really great because, again, they trust you. They know, like, okay, I'm here for you. I know you got this thing. Tell me where to buy. I'll go get the stuff, right? That's what we do with our kids all the time if you're a parent. In your newsletter emails, on social media, in blogs, in collaboration. So if you're collaborating with other artists, like compile even more affiliate stuff for both artists that are there, right? Swap those things for people. Share when you're sharing in audiences, you can also share in resources, and that makes it really powerful too. Create your own affiliate, and you can do this if you sell your art, if you sell a course, or you sell any sort of digital product. Now, certain websites will allow you to do this. So for instance, again, I use Kajabi. So I can set up an affiliate program for people that buy my course. And then if they go and sell it, they get a percentage of it. And I've been doing that with my program. I think this will be the first time that we're not doing an affiliate. And that's been great. Some people have made hundreds of dollars from just like letting people know, hey, you should check out Lennon's thing, right? And that's pretty rad. The same thing with artwork. Like if maybe you have a client that buys your stuff often. Okay, well, let them know, like if they like recommend somebody to you, you're going to give them 20% of what you make. If that gets you another client, that's valuable stuff, right? So these things can work in other ways too, and give you an opportunity to reward someone else for, again, give money as a token of appreciation for what you do. But what if you're not getting sales? Because I do want to go over that. You may be saying, well, I'm doing a lot of these things, Lennon, but I'm just not getting sales. Well, there's really, and this is going to be kind of wrapping up the whole thing. So we're not in, we don't have a lot left here. So I don't want you to feel like we got another hour and a half to go. But I want you to think about this in the journey that you're taking on with your people. So over here, we have a bunch of random people and they're chatting it up. This is social media. That's what I want you to think of this as. People are swiping, they're chatting, they're doing whatever. They're making their opinions as loud as they possibly can. And here's you. And you're like, well, how do I get people from social media to me? Well, it's a process. And I call it flipping. This is kind of my framework, so to speak. We have to get them over our bridge. And I think of this like a rickety old bridge. You can see like my wife drew this actually, like these areas here where it's scary for them to cross over. It's like, why should I trust you that I'm not going to fall off and die in the abyss of whatever, right? Like sometimes buying something feels like that. So we have to start by getting them to focus. And we do that by creating, again, understanding our person well enough that we're creating content specifically for them. That gets their attention. That allows them to focus for long enough that they say, ooh, you're like me, and I like what you have to say. And then you get them to listen. So focus is like, I've stopped, I've watched one of your posts. Listening looks like, now I'm going back to your page and I'm checking things out. Maybe I hit the follow button. Maybe I'm getting a little deeper into your world, right? So now they're on the platform. They can see that there's a bridge in front of them. They know there's opportunity here, but they're not there yet. So we have to then get them to interact. We have to build that trust in the listening. Let them know you understand who they are, that you are the kind of artist that stands for something, that's trying to create something that builds community, right? And that when they buy your art or they buy this product or they do these things, like that they are a part of something bigger, and that's really valuable. And when you do that, you can bring them into your world. And I call the interact process really getting someone on your email list or like deeper in there. And in your email, as I said, is like a great place for you to have affiliate links, because that's an easy sell. And usually it's low cost for them as well and provides a ton of value. So interaction is kind of in your world. Okay. And then you offer the purchase and they buy. Now, that doesn't mean you can't offer purchases, at different times, because you're going to have different people in different parts of this process at all times if you're doing it well. But if you're not getting sales at all, you're not getting people to your website, you're not getting people to click on your affiliate links, you might want to focus on the first two segments, which is getting someone to actually focus on you and getting them to listen. And this is what I do. This is not trying to sell you on anything, but we offer a program that walks you through these things, allowing you to leverage your unique strengths to cultivate a loyal following without relying on trends, right? Or compromising who you are as a person. This is about leaning into your strengths. This includes a dynamic course, daily prompts. So if you don't know what to post, these are going to help you to engage and draw that connection in and get them to focus and listen, right? And then we also do weekly live coaching for live feedback, so you know what's working and why. And our big values inside this program is that we keep creativity at the center of all of it. We're a community that helps each other validate ideas, because as creatives, we need validation. We need to know that our ideas are worth chasing, and we push toward purpose, not popularity. I don't give two rips about social media or you being some big, huge influencer. I care about you finding your people and connecting with them with the art that you make, so that you can make a difference in the world, because I believe that's what artists are here to do. And we do that through a go at your own pace course. Then you start implementing this 30-day posting strategy that I've given you. It's all there for you to do at your time. Then you can come to a meeting to get live feedback, and then quit feeling obligated to do socials and start getting excited about doing it your way while growing your way. Because our big thing is like, how do we implement more of ourself into our content so people trust you more, right? I want to give you tactics on how to simplify content creation, not feel like you have to show up and do the whole gamut of like process videos and all those things. There's tons of ways that you can sell and offer stuff without having to go through the entire editing process and having everything set up all the time. It can be a lot more basic than that and convert, right? I also have a comprehensive list of styles, like content styles, hooks, story outlines for you to use as a resource. And we do weekly case studies that you can look at other artists that are doing this as well. And so I'm not trying to sell you on this. I just want to say we're offering this for free for 14 days. If you want to check it out, just as a way of saying thank you for watching this workshop, because that's really valuable to me that you're here. And if you dig it, cool. If not, take all that information just like you've taken this here and then go. Like no worries for me. But you can go to stopthestarvingartist.com to check that out. And I just want to help as many artists as I possibly can to be able to grow communities that they care about and that care about their work, both emotionally as well as financially, and just be able to make a difference with the messages that they have as creative people. So if there are any questions, I will look for those now. If you have any questions, I'll give a second here for those to be asked, so I can answer them. So I'll give a minute here for you guys to pose any questions, or let me know, like, what's your takeaway? What's your action step here from this workshop and where we've been so far? Love to hear your action steps, action items, what you've taken from this, any aha moments, anything like that. Again, typing this or putting that out loud is really important because it allows us to see and take the next step. So in all my coaching calls, I don't, they're all live, so I don't let people leave without an action item. It's really important to me. Let's see here. What are some ways to grow the following and get engagement? So the framework that we look at is okay. And then Pretty says, definitely where you don't drop the ball and see it through by connecting all the steps. Yeah. So is that for you like a when you say don't drop the ball and then see it through by connecting all the steps? Is that your takeaway, like that you just want to see it through by connecting all the steps? Or is it that, you feel like somewhere in here, there's an opportunity to drop the ball? Because if so, I want to make sure I clarify that. And then back to Cal's question here, what are some ways to grow your following and your engagement? So the biggest ways are, again, it comes back to obviously content style. What we look at is 3 core elements: your story, which we've talked a little bit about already, your belief, and your opponent. So while in this element, we've looked at your story, and your opponent from like a micro level of if we're selling a paintbrush or we're selling paints or we're selling pencils, right? What is the opponent in there that you're fighting against? So to grow your audience, I believe you need a story, a belief, and an opponent on a macro level. So the story is, here's my life. Here's what I've done as a human being. Here's where I've been. Here's what I'm all about, right? So you heard a bit of my story and what I do. The belief is, what do you want to see differently? So you might ask yourself, like, people that are like you or similar to you that you get annoyed at, right? What is it that annoys you? So for instance, for me, I don't believe in trends. Like, one of my big beliefs is like, you don't need trends to grow and you don't need a big audience to make a living. Why do I believe that? Because I've seen it to be true. And that all comes from my story of being a mid-level, low to mid-level, like independent artist that was able to make a living doing what I love to do, right? So I kind of see myself as kind of the everyman, right? And my story developed that belief. And so my opponent then becomes all of these people that are talking about get rich quick schemes, or, that the only way to do it is have these huge audiences, or that you have to sell these enormous, like high price things or whatever, right? So those become my opponents. And so when I look at that and I start making content around that, that helps people gravitate toward me because they say, I also believe in that. I resonate with your story and I want to fight against those things as well. So you as an artist, for instance, I'll go back to a client. Hannah and Nemo is a great example. So I mentioned them earlier. They've done over 6 figures in the last year selling their art. And what they realize, because they do these beautiful moving mosaics, they call them, where they're made out of aluminum cans and they cut these holes and like do all this stuff and then make these beautiful mosaics. And we started to dive into, well, okay, who wants these and why? Like, what do they stand for? What do they believe in? Well, they believe in recycling because they believe that like the earth should be a better place. They believe that the earth should be a better place and something that we care for. They really believe in caring for people, right? So a big belief for their audience is like inclusion and recycling and all those things. So you can see, like, now we're not just in the art world, we're in the like people world, right? And then, so that's the belief. Then the opponent becomes people that are not inclusive, people that don't value our planet and the things that we're given, the resources that we're given. And so when they share their art and what they do, they're able to share that message. So they'll show them making these cans and they say, we really want to allow our art to be a small part of like developing opportunities for people to feel included and to also allow them to buy something that looks beautiful in their home that isn't creating more waste. And I think that's a beautiful message. And so you start to use that to then branch off all of your content strategy around that core idea of who is the person, what do they believe in, and how does your story resonate with them, and what is the thing that your art fights for or against. And so that is built-in engagement, because the strongest communities don't form around common interests, they form around common beliefs. Strongest communities don't form around common interests, but common beliefs. So while I know that that's not incredibly practical, strategic things, that's the foundational work that most people don't do. You can go look up tactics on YouTube. I'm not here to give those, because the story or how you develop your story does not matter, or the picture that you put on TikTok or Instagram, like, yeah, those things work. But if the message doesn't exist underneath it, like, Most of you are making content that's probably pretty stinking good, but it's missing a message. It's missing a heart. It's missing something that does that, like the resonation is not there yet. That's the thing that's usually missing. It's not like a tactical thing. So hopefully that is helpful. Let me know, Kala, if that got you what you needed. I hope so. And again, these are things that we go over in Foundations every week. So super fun. Definitely the takeaway, don't always sell as I feel shy of it, in case my courses on Skillshare and affiliate links. Yeah, I totally get that. Yeah. But don't feel shy. Don't feel shy. Again, this is valuable to your people and you're offering it as value. And if they say no, that says nothing about you as a person or an artist or an individual, right? It just means like it's not for them right now. And that's okay. You know, and I think we want to take it so personally when somebody says no, and we want to make that a story like, well, then they must see me as X. Not true. 99.999% of the time, if they don't want it, they just say no and they move on. They ain't even thinking about us anymore, right? So really important that we just say, if this is for you and this is who it's for, right? Call them out, tell the story, show the value, then please check this out. And that's a much more beneficial and servant mindset. Okay, cool. That's all I got. You can follow me on Instagram at Stop the Starving Artist, TikTok, Stop the Starving Artist, YouTube, Stop the Starving Artist. There is a Stop the Starving Artist podcast, which I haven't done in a while, but I'm about to kick back up into. I also have a link here for you guys to be able to get the slides for this presentation. And so if you want the slides, I would love to give those to you. And that way you can go and download them. So let me give you that link. You can go to, I believe it's this one right here. Okay, right here, www.makeyourartvaluable.com. So that'll give you all the slides. So when you go back and you want to develop this video, you can kind of walk through these things as a checklist. So that's all there for you. I'll leave that up indefinitely so that exists and can help all you guys, especially as you're watching it in the replay. And of course, hit me up, drop me a message on Instagram or whatever. Shoot me a line or come hang out with us in the program. We'd love to have you. I want to say once again, a huge thank you to Kala and Grabie and just the whole crew. I love what this company stands for and the idea of getting art into the hands of people that, you know, wouldn't have that opportunity. And so this is a great company to support. If you don't know, they also offer a cut of all your, not all your sales, but in addition to your sales, offer a cut that goes to the charity of your choice, which is a really beautiful thing. So supporting this company is supporting something greater than yourself and the art that you make and just the product at hand. And so once again, if we think about our beliefs, our values, the things that we covet and really choose to show up as artists, this is a great company to be a part of within that. So thank you to them for letting me be a part of this. And I hope to hear more from you guys down the road.